Right, there we go. Late to the party. Okay, let's get everybody going in here. Yeah, there we are, there we are. Right. Okay. We get into this here. And wait for everybody to show up here. Hang tight for a second. Let's see what we got here. A little tunage. Cool. So, let's see, I still can't pull this in here yet. Hold on, it takes a second. Takes a second for it to come online. Hang tight here while we get everybody coming in. Right, so how we doing here? How we doing? Good to go. That's coming in. Right. There we go. Let's get that centered off right. Close enough. Like that. Okay. Cool. Okay, YouTube will not register this, so I don't know what's going on here. Hang tight, hang tight, hang tight. Trying to get to the, so I can see your comments, everybody. So, let's see, here we go. Okay, hang tight, hang tight. Right. Okay. Right. How y'all doing? Happy Tuesday evening to you. Let me turn that down, that's a little bit loud. Okay, let me see here. Right. It still won't show up here. I don't know what's going on. I have control RAM. So let's see. We're streaming, but why won't it show up? Strange. Well, hopefully, if this doesn't come up, that's not what I want, for fuck's sakes. Alright, we'll see if we can get this going. If not, then we'll have issues. Alright, hang on, guys. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. YouTube. They're constantly updating things, making it more difficult when they're trying to make it easier. They don't like me because I'm on a Mac. There we go. It only took you guys 5 minutes. For fuck's sakes, YouTube. Cool. What up, Shake? Alright, welcome to another live edition making you a bartending pro. My name is Jason. Oh man, Shake, they're moderating. How we doing out there in the world, everybody? Okay, let's see how these are going. What have you been up to, Shake? How you been, buddy? Things good? You back in the working world? Let's see here. If I can pull this over like that. Okay, rock and rolling. So, not back bartending yet, he says. Hang tight, man. Hopefully that'll come around soon. So, welcome to another live edition of Make You Bartending Pro. Do these every Tuesday night, 6:30 West Coast United States time. And we usually talk about bartending, although we don't have to. We can talk about whatever. Still trying to get back and get stuff going 100%. Yeah, it's still challenging. We look like we're starting to make the turn, and now there's a bunch of states blowing up again. So I don't know, man. We'll have to keep our fingers crossed to see how this all goes. And those of you hanging out, if you got any questions, feel free to throw them out. There's no agenda, no sort of anything other than you guys ask questions and I answer, and that's how we roll along. So things are good up here. I'm up in the Northwest, up in Oregon. Weather is turning into summertime. It's been quite nice. So that is lovely. We have a few bars and restaurants are open here for dine-in. Yeah, they're starting to open up the state here, although slowly up in Oregon. We'll have to see how it goes. Double fingers crossed, everything goes well. Yeah, it's been a tough go here. Slowly starting. And then of the places that are back open, it's been real limited on the service that they can provide. So still a lot of people that are out of work in the industry. I know some people are starting to go back to work, but it's not 100% going on yet. John Torpy says, still not open here in SoCal. Yeah, I got all my homies back in San Diego lamenting to me about it. Although they are, some of them that are getting unemployment are stoked because they're basically making as much or more money when they were working. Grandizer 12. I was back in Arizona and I didn't go back. Oh, I was a bar back in Arizona and I didn't go back, and now they might reclose here for opening too soon. Yeah, my wife, or I should say my sister-in-law, she's getting married soon, and they're trying to get married this year, so shit's not going so well, but they're trying to do their bachelorette party down in Arizona. They've already had to push it back once, and yeah, I just saw reports this week that you guys are blowing up down there again in Arizona, so yeah, it's fucking no bueno, man. But for those of you guys that are paying attention and you're ready to kind of take advantage of this, you know, I hate saying the word take advantage, using these less than optimal situations as an opportunity. And I'm talking strictly, it's just the coronavirus stuff that's kind of shut everything down. People have, you know, gone home, getting unemployment, and they're sort of contemplating how much they do or do not want to come back to the establishments that they were working at before. So there will be an opportunity for you to potentially move into places, because there will be people that will just not come back to the bars that they left just because they just don't want to, and this is just a good opportunity for them to move on to the next thing. So once the bars and restaurants and establishments in your area that you live in start to open, and they're staying open consistently, and they start getting back to a more of a normal schedule in terms of like their staffing needs, that is going to be a good opportunity for you guys to go out and shake a hand, get to know a manager and owner, and try to get your foot in the door somewhere, because it's definitely going to be a turnover in the industry where some people are just going to be over it and they don't want to go back, and so there will be opportunity there for you guys. So make sure you're paying attention to what's going on in your state and in your county. If you're here in the United States, I know we usually have an international contingency tuning into these things, so for in the US anyway, pay attention to what your governor is saying, Pay attention to what your mayor of your town or city is saying, and hopefully things start opening back up and shit stays steady, and so we're not getting any more flare-ups that are kind of happening around a little bit. And people start working, and as they start to ramp back up to regular schedule and they don't have some of those people that came back, that's your opportunity to be right there shaking somebody's hand and like, hey man, give me a shot. So be ready to go when things are getting going. Sam, any fun experiences while bartending? Oh man. Well, shit, where do you start with that one? The most fun and social job you'll ever do, for sure. It's like going to work at a party on the good days. It's like going to work at an adult babysitting center on the not so good days. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, super social. You're generally not supposed to, but there's usually a bit of drinking and partying of sorts while you're actually working. Although I'm not advocating that, but I just say it happens all the time. I'd partake the time or 5, and it's a good time. So it's really fun. You get to know your co-workers really well, maybe even better than you would like to. And that is a instant circle of people that you can plug into. So you expand your friendship circles and your social circles. Your locals you get to know really well, and you can make some really good friends from those. You can, expand your private life and social interactions and dating opportunities significantly in that world. So that's just the tip of the iceberg, obviously. So it's a good time. I do recommend, obviously. Been doing it for a long time. Okay, what do we got? Xiangen? Am I saying that right? Or Xiangen? I don't know. I'm gonna say Xiangen. Sorry if I'm fucking that up. Hi man, went to a bartender. Oh, I want to bartend when I'm older, and your videos are helping out. Well, hopefully, or at least 21. If not, come see me in a couple of years. And don't worry about this stuff until then. If you really want to get into this industry and you're under 21, which it's actually a good video to make, what you can do is you can start working in other positions well before you're 21 in the service industry, specifically like restaurants, right? You're not going to be able to work into a bar, like that's just a bar or anything, or a nightclub, but you can work as a host, a busboy, server. You can usually you can serve in most states at 16 in the US. Obviously you can do back of house stuff like prep cook, you can dishwash. So I would say anything that you're helping the front of house staff is going to be your best option for money, because you get tipped out. So like hostess, host, busboys, expediter, like food runner people, those usually, hopefully, are getting tipped out, and most of the time by your servers and bartenders. So those are good because you're not just making usually minimum wage, you're also getting tipped out, and you're learning the game. So you can kind of start to figure out what parts of this industry you like or don't like, and you're just getting experience. Like I've done everything from prep cook, dishwasher, host, barback, busser, waited tables, and bartending, bar manager. So done a whole lot in the industry, and every time you're in a different role, you understand a different part of the business, because this, as bartending, as I say all the time, this is not about us. This is about how we fit into a business. So if you can understand the bigger picture of the business, then you're going to be a more valuable asset to the people that are running that business. And so if you're under 21 and you can't quite bartend yet, that's a good place to start. And you can start making some money. You can start to get used to the industry, how it works, the relationships with your coworkers, managers, owners, and then also with the customers and stuff. So that's a really good experience. So I would recommend you, if you are a younger person, to go check that stuff out. There's a linked romance as a bartender. Thank you, Shake. Dating your customers and coworkers. Gotta be careful. Legal drinking age over here is 18. I'm 16. Planning on doing a course later on for experience. So I'm assuming you are out of the US if your legal drinking age is 18. Especially in a lot of the European countries, I know it's like a prerequisite that you have to do some sort of training. So get on ya. Keep it going. Taking a class for experience or to get familiar behind the bar works well for some people. Yeah, do what you can and just get in there. Make sure you let them know. And it's okay when you go in. Feel, make sure, just kind of use your acuity when if you're in the interview with people, right? You don't want to burn a bridge before you even get hired. Maybe it could be one of those things where you start working and then you let them know. Generally, I will tell people too that it's okay if it feels natural and normal to bring up the fact in an interview, like if you're interviewing for a different position, that like, hey, someday I'd love to get into the bar. So just kind of planting that seed. And definitely once you start working for them, then you can kind of plant that seed of, this is awesome, learning a lot, stoked to be here. Someday I would love to eventually get a chance to get into the bar if I can, right? So keep that in mind. And it's always the squeaky wheel that gets the oil. The reason I had a lot of success getting into the positions that I was in was just I was not afraid to go in to the owners and managers and let them know, like, hey, when can I get the bar? When I was in positions when I wasn't quite bartending. So I actually started bartending kind of right out of the gates. I was also at the same time, I was like a busboy. So I was bartending 1 day a week at first, and then like busing most of the time. But then I started moving up, and then I moved into another place after that, where I was bartending ridiculous amounts of money because it was a really high-end fine dining type place. And so I started working as just server with the intention of getting into that, and that was kind of the plan. Now, turns out I didn't really like the fine dining side of it, so I left. And I owned a restaurant that has a good bar and good bar scene with its locals around it. That was my personal preference. Did the nightclub thing, did the craft cocktail thing, high-end fine dining, hotel bartending, and that stuff was my favorite. So within this industry, you'll find your own kind of preferences for where you want to go work. And they're all good to try if you can and get experience, because who knows? I always thought, it's like, man, I'd love to do the nightclub stuff, blah, blah, blah. It could be so rad and make so much money. And you get in there and you do, man. But the hours were just brutal, so it wasn't my thing, because I don't, it's a full lifestyle, because you're there so late. And so you're basically, your whole life revolves around being a creature of the night. You don't even go to work until 10 o'clock at night is when you start. So you're working until, in California, it was 2 a.m. is when we close, and then it would take another hour or two to close the establishment. So I was getting home at 4 or 5 in the morning. So that just didn't cut it. You have to keep in mind that you want to be in. Cool. So what else is going on out there in the world? Everybody doing well? Anybody participating in some of the marches, helping change the world? Shongan, I think I'd rather work in a bar. There's no bars where I live, but I'm planning to move to the capital and find work there. There's a lot of bars in the capital as well, so I could find work there. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the more densely populated an area, the more opportunities there are for establishments to be in the area for you to work in. So, small town, and you really want to get into the glitz and glamour of bartending, especially in like some of the more bigger bars or nightclub type things, then you're obviously going to have to move. But, you know, keep in mind the type of reason or the type of bartending you want to do and why. Like, why did you get into bartending? Why do you want to get into bartending? And that can kind of help direct you in the right style of establishment that you should be focusing on. Yeah, hotel bars always seem more interesting than normal bars to me. I think it's the diversity of people you meet there. For sure, hotel bars are great. Can offer, they're one of those types of places that if it's a bigger company, those are the type of bars that you can get into and get like benefits and you know, like 401k type options stuff. And they're usually, they can be open to newer people. So if you don't have a lot of experience, there can be open to bringing people in. If they have locations around your area or country or around the world, then you can sometimes work out kind of destination bartending through those companies. I had a friend that worked for, I don't remember what chain it was, but he ended up getting a job in like Stockholm, Sweden or something like that from the States because he worked for, you know, it was just, he was an established bartender at the place he was at, and he just kind of started asking up through the chain and made a connection to somebody in Sweden, got a job, moved to Sweden. It's pretty one of those types of industries that allows for that sort of thing to happen that's not usually very accessible for those of us that are coming into an industry that they consider an entry-level job. So bartending, because there's no like formal training required for it in terms of like, you know, your university style education or anything like that, they consider it an entry-level or trade type work. So there's not many of those that give you an opportunity to kind of work in and then sort of have an opportunity to travel a whole lot. Ireland, that's cool. So there's a high demand for the drink over here, and I went to pubs and just love the atmosphere, especially if there's a football match on or a sports bar. Nice. Hell yeah. Celtic fan? Or, I don't know. Yeah. I wish football, aka for our American viewers, soccer. Wish it was bigger in the States, but catching on a little bit. Slowly but surely, but we're not there yet. I have a theory about that. I think it's because the long interrupted periods of basically transmitting, what's the right word? Just basically streaming the show, the match. They can't run commercials nonstop. So here in the States, that's why they like American football, baseball, basketball, lots of timeouts so they can run a lot of commercials. In football or soccer, there's huge 45-minute long chunks where there's no commercials allowed. So in the States, that stuff never was picked up by the main networks over here because they like to be able to make more money and run commercials, and so therefore all the athletes in this country grow up watching their heroes on TV, which is the mainstream sports of football, basketball, baseball. And so a lot of soccer players in high school, and then once they start to get into college, they tend to funnel into those other main sports. Anyway, we're talking about bartending, man. We're not talking about soccer. What the fuck? A little bit of a late start this evening, so we got a little low attendance. My apologies. I was helping them. Important stuff. So if you're hanging out, you have any questions, throw them out there. Otherwise, we'll wrap this one up a little bit short this evening. Shonigan says, I love American football, do all-nighters during the Super Bowl since it's on at like 5 a.m. for us. Love soccer more though. Always had sports bars. Good energy. Yeah, sports bars are a fun place to work, for sure. Good, steady business, good locals, the place that I worked, that was like a craft bar. It wasn't like a sports bar, but there was a lot of TVs there. So during the day, especially, there games were on at the time, and they were definitely a lot of fun, and especially if you have big stuff like, you know, Super Bowl, World Series, NBA Finals, and or for you guys overseas, you know, championship matches, Champions League, any of that type of stuff. People come in and everybody is involved and engaged. Everybody's drinking, hanging out, so it's good for us because we're working, making good money and tips, and it's just a good time. Shake says lots of sports, bowling alleys too. Wish I could stream some esports there though. Yeah, I'm surprised that hasn't as it is. All the esports stuff. Pretty crazy. I guess it's one of those things that's kind of like golf. Like, it's only interesting to watch if you're playing it, I would guess. Or if you're into that whole world, then maybe it's a little more interesting. Like me personally, as a gamer, I wouldn't, as not being a gamer, I don't know if I could play video games. But obviously a huge industry, so I'm surprised that they don't have those types of events played a little more widely. Music to see a Rocket League on the drink. Yeah. It's fun, for sure. Alright, what else we got going on here? Anybody else out there have any questions? We'll kind of throw out a last call for questions, y'all. Just because we got a little lower attendance this evening. Shake says me and a friend have been talking about it last year, but they didn't run it well on it. If I'm at a convention, I'm actually taking part. Yeah, you'd have to kind of figure out a way to kind of put that together. I'm thinking you hire a bunch of good-looking people to work there, although that's illegal discrimination. That happens all the time. People that can be cool and friendly and bring people in. I don't know. I don't know that world. I don't know those kind of customers, so it's kind of hard to get into that, into the head of the customer and what would bring them in. That would be a good business idea though, if you could figure out how to run an esports bar, because it's definitely something that's not being done anywhere. When did you first bartending and what position were you appointed to, Barback Busboy? So I started bartending back in 99, 98, 99. And I basically, it was this restaurant that a bunch of my friends worked at. And I used to go in there all the time on the beach in North County, San Diego. Would go have happy hour cocktails or tacos and stuff and just hang out while my friends were working, either during happy hour or like at the end of the night right before they would get off, and started spending a lot of time there. So through that you start to get to know the other bartenders, you start to get, and they start to know you, so they started to get to know me, which is something that I always say, that this industry is knowing somebody, because that's what it's going to take to get an opportunity to break in, usually, especially if you have no experience. That's your best way to break in if you have no experience. And one day I was just down there hanging out, and the bar manager said, "Hey, all your friends work here. When are you going to start working here?" And I just straight up told him, like, kind of joking, I said, "When you put me in the bar." And he said, "Okay, well, we got a guy leaving. I'll hire you. I'll put you in the bar." And I said, "Well, I was kind of joking. I don't know shit about it, but I would give it a try if you're serious." He goes, "Yeah, I'm serious." I didn't know anything. Like, you guys are way ahead of the curve from where I started, because you've at least done investigative research about what bartending entails. Like, I didn't know how to pour. I didn't know pour counts. I didn't know shit about liquor except for a very couple basic things. I only knew a couple of basic drink recipes that, you know, just kind of general people know, which is not very many. But I was also a busboy. So I was working in the bar like one day a week, I think, when I first started, and bussing, I don't know, 3 or 4 days a week around that. And then it slowly my point being is that it's all who you know, number one. And then number two, it doesn't matter how much you know, because if you know somebody that likes you and they're going to give you a chance, that's kind of the golden ticket. Now, it is good to do a little bit of forethought and research and, you know, stuff like coming to channel to learn some things before you get out there. But especially if you're brand new and you don't have a whole lot of experience or any experience, who you know is going to be your best opportunity, or being willing to start in other positions so that you can move up. Once you start in any position in any establishment, you'll have an opportunity to work into any other position you want. Obviously, if you're here, it's probably bartending that you're interested in. It's just a matter of time before you can get in and show your worth, and then it's, you know, you can move into whatever position you want once you're working at an establishment. Might take months or years, but you will get an opportunity to do it. So that's why I say it's sometimes worth taking a lower position at a place that you really want to work at, so that you can move up from there, as opposed to working at somewhere that just really isn't going to be that cool, although you're bartending. So there's two different trains of thoughts. You can do that, get some experience, put it on your resume, or you can really try to go after the places that you want to. I think you should do both, right? There's nothing that says you can't work at multiple places. In fact, most working bartenders, they will work at multiple places, especially if you're in like the nightclub world, because rarely can you work more than just a couple days a week. So you kind of have to piece that together, working at a couple different establishments. So you work a couple nights over here, and then you work a couple nights over here, maybe even a third place, a couple nights over here. And that's how you kind of juggle doing it, because there's very, 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 very few places in that side of it, in the nightclub world, that are going off, you know, 4, 5, 6 nights a week. And that's the other kind of reason why I like the restaurant side of this industry, is because there's just more consistency, there's more business 7 days a week. So build up your loyal following of locals in one location, as opposed to being spread around to a bunch of different places and they're trying to follow you, you know, a few days a week. But anyway, there we go. Still there? All right. Well, now it looks like we lost everybody there. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Technical difficulties. Cool. All right, well, since we cut out the shake, we'll do last questions for real this time. So if you have anything you want to know, throw it out now. Remember to follow all the @Bartending Pro, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, although it's pretty much a little bit on Instagram @Bartending Pro. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all your notifications, so that when we start and anytime a new video goes up, you'll get notified. And remember, now's the time to be getting ready, even though stuff is a little bit of operational normality across the nation and the world with our industry because of what's going on with COVID and all that kind of crap. But there are people that stepped out of this industry that are not going to come back. In your area start opening, and they're staying open consistently, and they start ramping up to their normal service of hours and availability for people to come inside, then that's when you're going to want to take advantage of going to checkout. So, I think we had one more. Rodrigo Cruz, how long does it take to become a good bartender? Good is a subjective term, Rodrigo. So, in terms of being like a competent, confident, knowledgeable bartender, I think you can get there pretty quick. You know, I'd be pretty competent and know quite a bit within, but I'd say within like a year or two, you're going to be pretty well dialed into kind of your situation. Depends on where you're working too. So it depends on the time. But if you get in and you're working at a place where you get a fair amount of business and it's busy every so often or fairly often, we'll kind of place stuff and experience they're looking for at least 2 years, like the industry norm of this person's a bit of a, you know, kind of competent bartender. They've been doing this for a few years. More high volume places will tend to want to see people that have 5 years experience, and it's not like you better bartender during that time. It's just that you've potentially worked enough that you've had opportunities to work in busy environments and to, you know, handle that situation. I think subjective in terms of how long does it take to become a good bartender, but how long does the industry think it takes? I'd say 2 years is kind of like your magic number, and then 5 years is sort of that like high volume notch where they can trust you without knowing you. So, but I think you can get a kick-ass bartender within, you know, 6 months or a year or so, at least. Jungan, you're welcome. 24 hours to a lifetime. I like that, Shake. Good call. One Way Studio. Yo, your patrons will decide if you are a good bartender or not. And again, why this is a customer service industry and a customer service first job. So it's not about how much we know. A good bartender is someone who understands and is able to interact with customers and people. So I think that really what makes somebody a good bartender is being able to read people and being able to handle almost any kind of situation. That's not drinks. I'm talking about the situations and personalities that come up in bars and being able to handle different scenarios and situations. And opinions being expressed strongly, which is great. But within the context of a bar where you have a bunch of people that are drinking and they might not always agree on stuff, if you know how to just kind of smooth things out and play a little bit of peacekeeper getting into your bar, that's the type of stuff that takes a little while to kind of figure it out. But in my opinion, that's what makes somebody a good bartender, is they are a good people person. And so that's why I always joke that after 10 years of bartending, you should be... How do you go about getting asked for a... Oh, this thing jumped down. Hold on. How do you go about getting asked for a drink you've never heard of? What's in it? And you just ask the person. And then they tell you, problem solved. Now, I am of the idea that if somebody's ordering a drink, they should know what's in it, and they should be able to tell. Sometimes there's just things that are popular, like shots and shooters, that don't know what's in the thing. They know kind of what it looks like or tastes like, but they don't really know what the ingredients are. So and I don't know, I'll try to ask a couple of my fellow bartenders, you know, so that's kind of the next one. And if none of them know, then I'll pull out my damn phone and look it up. Now, you're going to get stumped sometimes, and it totally doesn't matter. It's like, it's not a big deal. So the first thing to know, Lola, is that it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. most of the time you can just ask the person, it's like, oh, that's cool, never heard of that one, what's in it? And they'll, ta-da, problem solved. That's probably 90% of the time. After that, most of your coworkers will probably know it another 8 or 9% of the time. So there's like 1 or 2 out of 100, if that ever even happens to you that often. More like one, you know, I think I had to pull out my phone and look up shit just a handful of times ever. So it's doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. And as long as you just get them the drink, you know, they're not gonna like hate you because you didn't, or they're not gonna laugh and point at you and call you an idiot or anything like that. They want this drink as much as you want to make it for them. So everybody's on the same team. So you just kind of work to figure it out, really. But the biggest thing, you don't get frustrated or freaked out about it. Mia Henderson, what up? Shake says all I had to do was work. It was a night we had a party at our place. Nice. Just new people coming in from other places. Rodrigo, this is really insightful and helpful. Thank you. No worries. And thank you, Rodrigo, for showing up, being a viewer. Customers buy you one. So that's a good question. Check out the video that I have. Maybe Shay can grab the link. Bar that you're at and the rules that they have for bartenders. Now, I think most states in the United States, it's technically illegal. Loose policy that it's like, they don't mind if someone buys you a shot. Now, some places will just have flat out rules of no drinking period at the end. And you have to say, hey, thanks, I wish I could, but I can't. That is also a great excuse if you don't want to drink and somebody buys you a shot. It's like, hey man, I can't, even if maybe it's a place that they know that they can buy the bartender shots, then you can kind of make up a little story like, oh, I kind of got in trouble the other day because somebody bought me a shot and I'm not like on probation or something, so I can't have any drinks right now or whatever, right? You can kind of come up with a fucking story. But if they don't know and you've never seen it before, you can just like, no, we have a policy where we can't, I'm not supposed to drink. So thanks, but no thanks. You know, buy it for the person next to you because they'll be stoked probably. But most of the time, for most of it, if somebody bought us a drink, we would just have it with them. So it really depends on where you're working and what the laws are where you're at. I know some people that I've worked with, I worked with a couple of bartenders that didn't drink at all. And so when someone would try to, or when someone wanted to buy them a drink, they would just put, instead of explaining, it's like, oh, I don't drink, I'm good. They would just, because it's usually such a fucking crazy thing that's happening behind the bar. And if you're kind of a good bartender, you can, a little bit like magic, you've got a lot of hands moving around so people can't really see what's going on. They would pour themselves just water. And if it was like whiskey or it was supposed to be a certain color, they would just splash juice or soda or something in there to kind of make it look the right color. But I knew a guy that would just take basically shots of water all the time with people. And they thought that they were drinking tequila with him. So you can also do that. You can just like pour fucking water in your shot glass and drink that and like, you know, kind of play it off a little bit. So you have options. Check out that video that Shake put up, Drinking on the Job. That talks a little bit more about that topic. So, want to get hammered at work, don't ever feel peer pressured that, or by a customer or by your coworkers. It's not something that you have to do. Okay guys, we're going to cut it off there. Thank you again for showing up. This has been another live edition Making You a Bartending Pro. My name is Jason. Shake, my man there moderating. Thank you, sir. Coming in and grabbing links to all that stuff. Remember, we do these every Tuesday, 6:30 West Coast United States time. That's 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. Or are we on daylight time? Daylight savings? No, we're on Pacific Standard Time. Anyway, whatever. Same 6:30 p.m. as LA or any West Coast cities in the United States. Thank you for showing up. Make sure you subscribe so you get all the notifications, follow, all that kind of jazz. Have a good week. Get your stuff ready to go. Remember, there's going to be opportunities for you to go knock on doors as the bars and establishment in your town start to open up after all the COVID-19 craziness. Be safe and careful out there. There is a bit of a flare-up happening in a lot of places, both in the States and around the world. So be careful with that. And but most of all, don't wait. Don't wait until you think you're ready, because you'll never be ready in your own head. Just get out there, start knocking on doors, shaking hands, or fist or elbow bumping or whatever. Get to know the people, right? That's your best opportunity. If you want to work on your bartending skills, sure, make a couple at home, but really the best thing you could be doing is practicing your person skills. Like, in my opinion, the nerves that you feel because you think that you're worried about not knowing something is actually nerves from just being in front of people and having to talk to them. It's the same concern with being scared of speaking in public. So join a Toastmasters, which those are around the world, I believe, or some sort of version of that, whatever is in your town, and work on your public speaking. And if you can do gig stuff like Uber and Lyft driving, that's another great one. People aren't always open to talk, but when they do, it's a great way to just work on conversations. Because really, that's kind of the crux of what makes a good bartender, is just being able to have an easy, comfortable conversation with anybody. Because if you can do that, then they're going to have a good time, they're going to be comfortable, they're going to enjoy their experience, and they're going to come back. And that's really what our job is to create enjoyable, unique, memorable experiences so that they will come back again and again. That's how you create repeat business. That's how you create loyal locals. That's how you make yourself valuable to your ownership, and you can work into basically any position you want. So that's it, you guys. Right on, go Ireland. On to the boys in green. Cheers, y'all, everybody, for showing up. Have a great week. Stay safe, happy, and healthy out there. I'll see you again soon. Cheers.